Somewhere in Gloucestershire, England, a grown adult is hurling themselves down a hill so steep that ambulances park at the bottom before the race even begins. They are chasing a wheel of cheese. They will not catch it. Nobody ever catches it. In the Amazon, a teenage boy is sliding his hands into a woven glove packed with ants whose sting is rated the most painful in the entire insect world. He is expected to do this again and again and again. On an island in the South Pacific, a man stands on a rickety wooden tower, ties a vine around his ankles, and dives face first toward the dirt. Not for sport, so the yams grow. And in the highlands of Indonesia, a family is having dinner with a grandmother who died 3 years ago. She is still in the house. They have not started grieving yet. That is the point. None of this is folklore. Every single one is documented, studied, and photographed. And by the end of this video, the strangest thing you will realize is not what these people do. It is that someone, somewhere, thinks your culture is the weird one. Let's count it down. Before we start, one small thing. This channel exists because people watch, and every subscriber genuinely tells me that digging through anthropology papers at 2 in the morning was worth it. If you like learning things you can annoy your friends with at dinner, hit subscribe. It costs you nothing and it keeps me making these. All right. Number 5, Cooper's Hill in Brockworth, England. Every spring, a crowd gathers at the top of a slope so severe that in places it is closer to a cliff than a hill. A wheel of double Gloucester cheese, weighing somewhere between 7 and 9 pounds, is released. 1 second later, human beings follow it. The cheese hits speeds reported at around 70 miles per hour. Humans, being significantly less aerodynamic than a wheel of dairy, do not keep up. What happens instead is less of a race and more of a controlled avalanche of people. The winner is simply the first person to reach the bottom, in whatever number of pieces they arrive in. The injuries are exactly what you would expect. Dislocated shoulders, broken ankles, concussions. Local rugby players are traditionally stationed at the bottom to catch competitors, which tells you everything about the physics involved. Here is the part I love. The event was officially canceled in 2010 because organizers could not guarantee crowd safety. Everyone showed up anyway. It has run unofficially ever since, with no organizer, no permit, and no plan. And in 2013, police reportedly warned the elderly local cheesemaker who supplied the wheel that she could be held liable for injuries. So that year, they rolled a foam replica instead. A foam cheese. Down a lethal hill, chased by hundreds of people who traveled from around the world. The origins are genuinely unclear. Some historians link it to pagan fertility rites, others to villagers asserting grazing rights. Written references place the event well into the 1800s at minimum. Nobody knows exactly why they started. Everybody knows why they continue. It is because a cheese is undefeated, and that is intolerable. The Sateré-Mawé people of the Brazilian Amazon have a coming-of-age ritual that makes every other rite of passage look like a birthday party. The insect in question is Paraponera clavata, the bullet ant. It earned that name because people who have been stung describe it as comparable to being shot. That is not just poetic language. Entomologist Justin Schmidt spent decades cataloging insect stings on a 4-point scale, published first in the early 1980s and expanded in his 2016 book on the subject. A honeybee sits at 2.0. The bullet ant is the ceiling. Schmidt rated it a 4.0 and described the pain as absolute, all-consuming and lasting for hours. Its venom contains ponerotoxin, a neurotoxin documented in research from the early 1990s that interferes with nerve signaling and can cause temporary paralysis. Now, the ritual. Ants are gathered and sedated in a herbal infusion. While unconscious, they are woven into a glove made of leaves, stingers pointed inward. When the ants wake up, they are furious, and they are trapped against a boy's hand. He wears the glove for several minutes. He is expected to dance while doing it, partly ceremonial, partly because standing still and thinking about it is worse. Afterward, his arms may shake uncontrollably for a day. Some accounts describe temporary paralysis of the limb, and then he does it again. Reports commonly state the ritual is repeated up to 20 times over a period of years before a boy is regarded as a man. There is no participation trophy, there is only the glove. You have seen the photographs. Kayan women from the Myanmar and Thailand border region wearing stacked brass coils around their necks. You have almost certainly been told those coils stretch the neck. They do not, and the study that proved it is over 40 years old. Physician John Keshishian radiographed Kayan women and published his findings in National Geographic in 1979. The X-rays showed something the photographs cannot. The neck vertebrae are essentially normal. What the coils actually do is press down on the collarbone and compress the upper rib cage, driving the entire shoulder structure lower. The neck is not longer. The shoulders are just further away from it. It is one of the most convincing optical illusions in the world, and it is performed with the human skeleton. The second myth is darker. You may have heard that removing the coils causes the neck to collapse and the woman to suffocate. This appears to be pure invention. Women remove the coils to clean them and their skin. The supporting muscles do weaken from disuse, which can make it uncomfortable, but there is no medical evidence of collapse or asphyxiation, worth saying plainly. Many Kayan families in Thailand live in villages that charge tourists an entry fee, and many arrived as refugees with limited legal status. The question of how freely a tradition is being practiced versus how heavily it is being sold to the people photographing it is a real one. Weird is a fun word. It should not switch off the part of your brain that asks who benefits. Quick pause. If this has been interesting so far, subscribing takes about 2 seconds and genuinely helps this channel reach people who like real sources instead of recycled clickbait. And drop a comment with what you want covered next. Weirdest laws? Strangest ancient medicine? Most bizarre foods that turned out to be genius? I read every suggestion, and the topics with the most requests get made. The last 2 videos on this channel came directly from the comments. Now, top 2. On Pentecost Island in Vanuatu, men build towers out of timber and vine, standing as much as 20 to 30 meters tall. A man climbs to a platform. 2 lianas, forest vines, are tied around his ankles, and then he dives head first at the earth. This is naghol, or land diving. The goal is not to stop short. The goal is for the diver's shoulders or head to just brush the freshly tilled soil at the base of the tower. That contact is a blessing on the yam harvest. There is no rubber, no harness, no backup line. The only thing standing between a diver and the ground is a man on the tower who has estimated the vine length by eye. And that estimate has to change for every single diver, every single day, because vines stretch differently depending on how much sap and water they hold. That is why the season is limited to roughly April through June, when the vines are at their most elastic. We know what happens when the timing is wrong. In 1974, jumps were performed outside the proper season for a visit by Queen Elizabeth II. A vine snapped. A man died. Here is the twist. In 1979, members of the Oxford University Dangerous Sports Club, having seen footage of Pentecost land diving, tied elastic cords to their legs and jumped off the Clifton Suspension Bridge in Bristol. The commercial bungee jumping industry grew from that stunt. So the entire global bungee industry, with its steel cables, safety certifications, and waivers, is a copy. The original has no safety rating. It has a guy with good eyes. In Tanah Toraja, in the highlands of Sulawesi, Indonesia, death is not an event. It is a process, and it can take years. When a person stops breathing, they are not immediately called dead. They are called to makula. A person who is sick, the body is preserved, historically using herbs and plant tannins, in modern practice using formalin. And then that person stays in the family home. They are given food, coffee, cigarettes. Family members talk to them, apologize to them, tell them the news. Children grow up alongside a grandparent who is present, cared for, and included, and who is also biologically deceased. This can last months, sometimes years. The reason is partly practical and entirely cultural. A Torajan funeral called Rambu Solo is enormously expensive. Dozens of water buffalo may be sacrificed to carry the soul onward, and a prized spotted buffalo can cost more than a house. Verify, current price ranges. Families save for years. Until the funeral happens, the person is not gone. They are waiting. Two cultures, an ocean apart, arriving at the same conclusion. The dead do not need to leave. From a hillside in Tanah Toraja, that is the strangest funeral practice on the planet. Weird is not a fact about a culture. It is a fact about the distance between you and it. If you learned something, the like button is right there, and it tells the algorithm to show this to someone else who reads footnotes for fun. Subscribe so you do not miss the next one. And tell me in the comments which of these 5 you would actually be willing to try, because I want to know who among you is voluntarily putting on the ant glove. I will see you in the next video.